So, today we will study about the historical development of curriculum in India. This historical background is very important in the sense that how the building is being constructed, we have to go back, that where was the plot, where was the what kind of ideas the constructor has in the mind. So, we have constructed this building. Similarly, in the case of curriculum, today we are following the recommendation of NEP 2020, but what is in this background and what kind of recommendations have been given in past. That is why we are going to improvement process and we are standing at a point where we are following the NEP 2020. So, today we will study about the historical perspective, we will see the curriculum in historical perspective. So, see, after the introduction of the educational system on the lines of Macaulay's Minards, that was in 1835, the first major attempt in the direction of curriculum reforms was made in 1937 and 38. When under the inspiration of Gandhiji, the basic system of education, Nai Talim Varda scheme was evolved. After Macaulay's Minute, we have started this from 1835, that after Macaulay's Minute, the curriculum reforms were started in 1937 to 38, when after the when under the leadership, dynamic leadership of Gandhiji, our Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhiji, the basic system of education, Nai Talim Varda scheme was evolved. With the Congress ministries coming into power in 9 provinces of India, the basic curriculum was introduced at the elementary stage. 3 centers intrinsically interconnected as the foci for the curriculum, that is craft work, physical environment, social environment were chosen. Can you imagine that why the craft work was given importance? Because the Indians were poor, they don't have money even for the bread and butter. So, Gandhiji thought that we should start such kind of education that can provide earning and learning, or you can say learning and earning all together. So, the craft work will give in importance that the students will prepare certain kind of models or certain kind of items that will be sold, and the money received after selling these all items, it will be helpful for the students or for the learners to fulfill the bread and butter objective. So, the craft work, physical environment, social environment were chosen, and these all the objectives that given in the Vardha scheme or in the Nai Talim, these all objectives were mainly concerned with to improve the economic conditions of the learners, economic conditions of the Indians rather say. So, in the scheme made rapid progress during the years 1937 to 1939. The Congress ministries resigned in 1939 on the event of the First World War, as India was dragged into the war by the British rulers without the consent of the Congress. The scheme thereafter did not make much headway. The Sargent report or the post-war educational development in India, that was in 1944, suggested the curriculum similar to the basic scheme. However, on account of the First World War, no progress in curriculum reforms could be made. Now we discuss about the different commissions and committees that were constituted in post-independence India. Curriculum and the Secondary Education Commission, that is 1952 to 53. It was headed by Mudaliar and also known as Mudaliar Commission. The commission recommended the introduction of diversified courses to be provided in multi-purpose or multilateral schools. There were 7 groups of subjects. These groups were humanities, sciences, technical, agriculture, commercial, fine arts and home science. So, a student pursuing secondary education was required to follow the following curriculum. It was recommended by the Mudaliar Commission or the Secondary Education Commission. So, 3 subjects from one group, 3 languages, social studies, general course, general science including mathematics, general course, 1 craft. This was the list of subjects that is given here and that will covered under the head of curriculum. The scheme could not be given a fair trial. A few hundred multi-purpose schools that were opened died their natural death in a few years. After Mudaliar Commission or the Secondary Education Commission, the next one was the Kothari Commission. It was in 1964 to 66. This was the first commission that went into all aspects of curriculum at all steps of education. The commission came to the conclusion that the curriculum was inadequate and outmoded and not properly designed to the needs of modern India. It was realized that the curriculum is not useful for the learners because it is not properly designed and it is not as per the need of the modern India. Because after independence, after achieving independence, we want progress and progress is possible, progress of nation is possible only with the help of education. So, there was a kind of need and it was felt that there should be certain kind of modification in the curriculum of school curriculum, specifically the school curriculum. So, the commission recommended that there was an urgent need to raise, upgrade and improve school curriculum. And this Kothari Commission 1964 to 66, this was the first commission that covers all the aspects of education, that is primary, secondary and higher. All the stages of education were covered under this with the recommendations were given by the Kothari Commission 1964 to 66 for improvement of all the stages of education. So, the recommendation of this commission was introduction of a uniform pattern of 10 plus 2 plus 3, diversification of courses after class 10th, common causes for the first 10 years of schooling, 3 languages at the lower secondary stage, introduction of work experience and social service in class 9th to 12th, 2 languages in class 11th and 12th, 3 compulsory subjects from a specified list of subjects in class 11th and 12th, and education in moral and spiritual values in class 9th to 12th. After considering the recommendations of the Education Commission, the Government of India formulated a national policy on education in 1968 and accepted the 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern. The 10 plus 2 curriculum was introduced in 1975 in some of the states. Gradually, it was introduced in almost all the states and union territories of India. the 10+2 curriculum was introduced in 1975 in some of the states. Gradually, it was introduced in almost all the states and union territories of India. The Government of India appointed two committees in 1977 to consider the various issues involved in the implementation of the new pattern. The committee headed by Ishwar Bhai Patel made two important recommendations, namely the introduction of socially useful productive work in place of work experience and including only syllabus frames in the curriculum in place of a detailed syllabus in each subject. Socially useful productive work, SUPW, it is still it is in fashion that some of the teacher education institution, this paper is being taught by the teacher educators in training institutions, because the waste material can be utilized and teacher is only the agent that can change and that can bring a kind of social change in the society by producing something new. So, with the help of waste material, how can we make it worthy and how can we make the kind of products that can be giving to the that can be sell. These socially productive work can be purchased by the other, those who are having the higher socio-economic status. And so again I am saying the committee headed by Ishwar Bhai Patel made two important recommendations, namely the introduction of socially useful productive work in place of work experience and including only syllabus frames in the curriculum in place of a detailed syllabus in each subject. National Policy on Education 1986, introduction of operational blackboard and emphasis on technology. So, 1986 policy, the first introduced the technology. Integration of cultural and social values into the curriculum. So, these were the two main recommendations of this curriculum, that operational blackboard, that every school should have chalk and blackboard, and emphasis on technology, that the technological aids be provided to the schools and they will utilize these technological aids for making the education more interesting. So, to attract the students towards the school, it was also a kind of recommendation given by National Policy on Education. Integration of cultural and social values into the curriculum, that is cultural background, that I said you earlier in first lecture, that cultural inclusion and social inclusions, that two were also given priority in the National Policy on Education 1986. Revised National Policy on Education 1992, review and changes made to the 1986 policy, focus on higher education and vocational training, key highlights in curriculum development. So, this policy revision was important in the sense that here the vocational training was also included. So, the vocational training will help the students, those who are from poor background, unable to carry on the education, but they can go through the vocational stream and can learn and can acquire certain kind of skills that will helpful to get the employment. So, this is the revised National Policy on Education that gives recommendation for vocational training. So, this kind of training is helpful for the students to cover the skills or to learn something a practical knowledge of the different kind of vocational fields like electricians, computer science, and stitching and leather work. So, these all kind of training that will provide new skills to our students that will be helpful for them to earn something. So, by earning or with the help of making the socio economical background strong, at least the students can carry on the education. And because the fee submission and these all problems are there, and the poor students always think that how can I carry on my education without economic empowerment. So, this is also a kind of benefit for those students, those who become dropout. So, vocational training was the good idea in this policy. National Curriculum Framework 2000, strengthening of primary and secondary education, introduction of vocational and skill based subject. These two were the primary objective of this National Curriculum Framework 2000, and this policy gives importance to the strengthening of primary and secondary education. It means because the school education is the foundation of any student, and if it is strong and if he is capable of communicating, he is capable of writing, he is capable of thinking, ultimately he will be the qualitative asset of the higher education institution. So, this National Curriculum Framework says that give much more importance to the primary and secondary education. If the learner is empowered here with all kind of skills, with all kind of abilities, definitely he will perform very good or excellent performance he will do to the higher education institutions. Introduction of vocational and skill based subject, this was also the recommendation of National Curriculum Framework. And skill based subject, as I told you, that a kind of trainings, vocational trainings, a kind of different kind of certificate courses, diploma courses, that all were the recommendation of this National Curriculum Framework. The similar objective was here, that earning and learning all together. National Curriculum Framework 2005, it emphasizes on child centered education, key changes in pedagogy and assessment, impact on textbooks and teaching practices. So, emphasis on child centered education means instead of giving education for teacher centered means that the whole system is passing through the teacher capabilities or passing through the teacher attention, and in the classroom the teacher is only the dictator or only delivering the lecture without considering how much being understood by the students. So, this is not good kind of teaching process. National Curriculum Framework says that it should be child centered education, that all the educational processes should go around the students' need and the students' capabilities and its future need also. So, child centered education is much more better than the teacher centered education, in the sense that in teacher centered education the teacher only delivers the lecture without understanding the need of the students, without understanding the cognitive abilities of the students and how far the students has learnt, no place is there. So, this kind of education is not worthy, but the child centered education is worth it in the sense that it goes around the child's capabilities, child's need, and how much we are able to develop the personality of the child, these all are the main points that considered under the head of child-centered education. So, key changes in pedagogy and assessment. Similarly, when we are talking about the child-centered education, it means we have to give importance to the pedagogical practices that helps to enhance the knowledge of the child, that helps to enhance the understanding of the child, and that enhance and make the child better to apply this knowledge to the social environment. So, this is pedagogy and assessment. Assessment means that only appear in the examination, we have achieved good marks and progress to the next class. This was in fashion, but now it has been changed, that is child-centered education. The assessment of student, assessment of child is very essential, because assessment only in terms of quantity is not a good way to evaluate or to assess the educational process, but the correct way of assessment is that we must understand that how far the learner is able to make herself or himself for the adjustment in the society. Because without knowing that the how far we are able to develop the knowledge or the cognitive domain of the students, how far we are able to make the cognitive domain stronger, and how far we are able to develop the interest, values, and what kind of skills we have been developed in our students in the child-centered education. These all are very important part of any curriculum, and these all were recommended by National Curriculum Framework in 2005. So, pedagogical and assessment, these all need certain kind of changes. It was felt in 2005 National Curriculum Framework. Recommendations were given for the child-centered education, and it was recommended that most of the processes, that is the educational processes should give emphasis, should give importance to the child-centered education in place of teacher-centered education. Impact on textbooks and teaching practices. The textbook should be written in that way that the easy language, relevant, and having certain coherence and organization that gives importance to the content, and teaching practices that all should around the syllabus and all should around the development of master textbook and teaching practices that should go around the textbook, and teaching practices should give importance for the development of master's learners. The National Curriculum Framework recommendations that were given in 2005 were worth it and valuable in the sense that it gives much more importance to the child-centered education. National Education Policy NEP 2020, it is being implemented by educational institutions. Key reforms in curriculum structure and focus areas, emphasis on experiential learning, flexibility and multidisciplinary approach, introduction of foundational and early childhood education. See, National Education Policy 2020 that is being implemented by higher education institution and schools also, that is based on 5 basic principles. What are these basic principles? These are quality, equality, equity, accountability and affordability. So, these 5 basic strong pillars on which the national education policy is built on. So, key reforms in curriculum structure and focus areas. This policy says that the holistic development of learner is the priority of education system. Along with this, the learner should be giving more flexibility in teaching learning process. The interest of the learner is giving the priority, and the vocational education or the kind of skills that is required for the next coming years for the students, it is very essential that these all skills be provided to the students, and there should be flexibility in educational plan, and teachers should try to give much more importance to the practical aspects in comparison to the theoretical aspects. So, the National Education Policy NEP 2020 gives importance to the experiential learning. Experiential learning, that I told you, Vardha scheme and craft education, that now it is in terms of experiential learning. Experiential learning that gives much more importance to the practical aspects, and says that if the three domains of the students are being trained in proper way, ultimately he will be a qualitative asset for the society. So, these recommendation of NEP 2020 are valuable for us, for our students, for higher education institutions, in the sense that it gives importance for imparting the education as well as providing the skills. So, the degree is in one hand and skills in both the hands. We have to train our students in such a way that he or she is able to produce best in the society and be a valuable and good citizen of Indian society. So, these kinds of recommendation that has been given in the NEP 2020, that are much more going to produce much more productive results for our students. So, the recommendation of NEP 2020 is really wonderful for our students in order to make them productive citizen of the Indian society. Introduction of foundational and early childhood education, because the structure of school education has been changed, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus, it has been changed, and we are giving importance that the early childhood education, there should be a hand skills with the students, or the playing way or the play way. Play way method, they should know that play way method means that in Bal Batika, that will play with the toys, and when they are playing, their muscles are going to be stronger, their brain capabilities are going to be strengthened, and they are able to know much more after passing through these all kind of learning experiences. So, Bal Batika at the stage of early primary stage, and in secondary stage and so on, they give much more importance to the skills also. So, thank you very much for listening me patiently. Thank you.